What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Dot Connect Wednesdays, episode 84. Today, we're going to go over the White House Crypto Summit breakdown. We are joined by one of the greats, the former community director of Link2, to get his insider perspective on what went down, what was said, what he knows that the general public may not be privy to. And we're also going to discuss some of his new entrepreneurial journey, upcoming interviews, and what's next for the crypto space. So, without further ado, we greatly appreciate you guys being here. This is Dot Connect Wednesdays, episode 84. Let's get started. Ray, Mr. Fuentes, how you feeling today?
I am feeling good. Champ, thanks for having me, sir. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day, happy every day. It is good to be here in this room with you, here in the room with everyone here in the Skyton Crypto Academy. As mentioned prior to hopping on, I follow you guys on Instagram and other platforms or across Twitter or now X. Where I'm getting at is you guys are always hovering above the target and a great source of information. So I'm proud to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. It's definitely our pleasure, man. We greatly appreciate having you. I know
Yeah.
you're a super busy guy, so it's an
Well,
honor to have you.
I guess not as busy as Steve, who just showboats us and goes and does something else last minute. I'm glad that we're get to hang out, but who let him off the hook tonight?
Yeah, man, the nerve of that guy. Yeah, so now
Uh,
he's taking care of some BI, some Skyton BI.
okay,
So he had to catch a flight out, but he might pop in.
okay,
Just depends on if he lands in time, but he might pop in. If not, he'll catch the replay like everybody else. But he
yeah.
knows you're here to deliver.
I think this happened that happened last time I was here. It was just you and I chopping it up, and I think he showed up last minute and
Uh-huh.
chimed in, or just at least showed face. So hey, happy to be here as mentioned, and happy to talk about all things crypto. I wish I was the bearer of good news, but it just seems the market's trending not up and to the right, but unfortunately, down and to the right across all. It looks like all chains. XRP's at $2.23. But man, that was I remember when we reached this height in 2021, it was. And
Mhm.
but we skyrocketed, which we did it from well, had skyrocketed from around 16 cents to $2.60. And man, I felt like I was the smartest man in the world because ultimately, well, that was coming off the heels of the XRP, or excuse me, off the heels of the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit case dropping after oh goodness, who dropped the case before going leaving on his last day to from the SEC. I'm drawing a blank. Uh,
Um,
I can see his face, but it's uh,
you're talking about not Gary Gensler, but
not Gary.
before Gary.
Oh,
Mm,
oh goodness.
and I know
Well,
this story like the back of my head. I can't
I know.
remember.
I think it's just it's late for you and I, but regardless, though, it's been a long time coming since then, and coming off the heels of that case, I made a considerable amount of money, but it was still I could have I felt like I left a decent amount of liquidity on the table because I was a green investor, and especially in this alternative investment landscape. It's that's without having or touching base into what SPVs are and things of that nature coming from Link to, but ultimately, uh, 10xing, going through that cycle, 10xing my capital, and now going through a complete new cycle. Here we are in 2025 now. It's just interesting. I don't know about you, Champ, but there's this whole meme craze that we were just encapsulated within the past few months. I'm sorry if I'm jumping all over, but it's for me. I'm just trying to stay within this whole domain of cycles because for me that's kind of
Mhm.
where what I've noticed in the grand scheme of things is like, oh, we've been through or I've been through this before, either within this short investment journey in the alternative investment landscape or at least through the greater cycles of life, because ultimately it all rhymes in some type of reason. And where I'm getting at is here we are in 2025. It's a little bit down and to the right, but we're also now in a different setting where this could be our new base, which is a trip. And rather than the 17s of the 2021s, where that was kind of where the 15, let's call to be fair, 50 cents was our floor for quite some time. So
Yeah.
yeah, could we trend down and go, some are saying sub a dollar again? Potentially, I would actually really hope, because I'd be backing the truck up. But ultimately, it's if I had liquidity, I'm putting everything into my platforms and just investing in uh the conferences these days, so I can attend, obtain that data, obtain those interviews, so I can then broadcast across my platforms. But all that is time and money. Time is
Yeah.
so.
Absolutely.
Uh, yeah, but anyway, so without losing train of thought or jumping off, I know that we're here to talk about the White House Crypto Summit. I think it's just right now par for the course. I really actually thought we were going to be even more bullish right now, since Trump's election. I thought things were going to be even more dynamic, but trending up into the right. Right now, we're just seeing some pullbacks. I thought things were going to be a little bit more profitable or frothy for at least 12 months. But
Yeah.
maybe that's the game, and doing a little shake of the tree. But ultimately, the builders are bullish. I've had many interviews with the builders, those that have attended, yeah, ETH related conferences, those have attended XRP related, and those that have attained BTC, and they're all talking about the same thing. They're bullish. They're more bullish than ever. There's more liquidity, and just more excitement, more optimism, especially with potential sound regulations right on the horizon. So I think that's what everyone is waiting for right now, which sadly has been the case for probably the past honest 3 years. Uh,
Hmm.
and so, but I guess that's just how the world works in the trade or trad finance traditional financial ecosystem, or let's call it um, let's call it um, uh, just, I don't want to say New York, but we'll just call it Wall Street.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, but I think that's just kind of how the incumbents work at a snail's pace. Plus, they're either gonna build something that's similar, comparable if they can, or they're going to buy it, adopt it, regardless. But still, there's a transitionary, uh, 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 call it timeline, or things just don't happen overnight, unfortunately. So for me, it's having to bite my tongue, be a little bit more patient, keep treading as long as I can, because as mentioned, I have no job. I've no boss. Everything is self-funded, and fortunately, I've been able to build a book of business that's been sustainable, and that I'm really thankful for. So that is in a nutshell. Anyways, let's go back to talking about the White House Crypto Summit. What, in a nutshell, after watching it a few times, I wanted to make sure that, one, I didn't miss on anything that was delivered. Plus, I wanted to really focus on who was in that room, because that's really impactful on not just the key narratives that were delivered, but also who was in the room that could either bolster the narratives, or at least, just some things, that data points that I'm overlooking. And so for what I've noticed were, Donald Trump definitely mentioned about the strategic Bitcoin reserve, as we all know, and then as well as the digital asset stockpile, which for me, I believe is a catch-all for everything outside of Bitcoin. But I don't know, call me crazy. We also he discussed industry engagements, and this is where I'm getting at. The summit brought together really prominent figures, and who I thought was very uh, prominent in the room outside obviously is the most powerful man in the world, the US President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, uh,
Mhm.
as well as his family. I'm sure I don't know if I saw Trump Jr., but I definitely saw Eric, who I believe
Eric,
is the
yeah,
one who is taking the main oversight of the digital asset, call it domain for the White House. And
yeah,
so, but what I thought was more, aside from them, you had David Sachs, who's the crypto czar now, but the SBA, which they oversee small business loans for, I mean, across the America. You had the SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce. So these are people that are overseeing the securities landscape. The acting CFTC chairman or commissioner, Carolyn Pham, Tom Emmer, Howard Lutnick, excuse me, the Secretary of Department of Commerce, which I thought was very interesting. With a little bit more time ahead of this, I wanted to dive deeper into to Howard Lutnick a little bit more detail. But
yeah,
I thought Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Department of Treasury, was also very impactful because ultimately they oversee the issuance of money and coins. So, I mean, we're talking about people that are overseeing the issuance of the U.S. dollar, and with the narrative that the U.S. is, or the U.S. dollar is potentially going to be dropped as a reserve currency, or in the global grand scheme of things, especially with the fears of the I would say I don't want to say the elimination, but the loss of use of the petrodollar. I,
mhm,
I'm thinking that the powers that be are still not going to allow the dollar to lose its power, because that means ultimately those countries are going to lose power. The U.S. would lose power, and we're not. We're a dominant central powerhouse. So as like we're the ones that really drove the mass adoption and created the internet. I don't think we're going to lose the powers of overseeing the payment rails that are now integrated in the internet. So, but regardless, though, back to the establishment of a strategic Bitcoin reserve, that's par for the course. I think the U.S. has been, I mean, obviously they've taken a large portion of Bitcoin when they squashed the Silk Road issue, when the Silk Road website was created by, I forget the gentleman's name, but he was based in San Francisco, I believe, where you could buy drugs, whatever you wanted to on the black market using Bitcoin. And so, fortunately, I never participated in any of that, for the record,
neither.
but I wish I did, because then I probably would have been exposed to Bitcoin, or at least would have been more mindful of it.
Right, right.
uh, not the drugs, not for the drugs. But regardless, though, it was just something that for me, when knowing how the institutions, or how these guys are going to work for something that could have been corrupted or used for illicit activities, I think that excluded it for being used at a larger scale, or at least putting it in a position that XRP has been positioned, that as being a regulated KYC AML uh,
Absolutely.
network and things of that nature. And so, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure people have done weird things with XRP, but that's not for me even here nor there. This conversation, that's for a tinfoil cap and a hangout session with my mom, who's very into can speak very peculiar conversations and things of that nature. I don't know if you've met her, Champ. Have you met my mom? She's been to a few XRP Las Vegas conferences.
No, not yet, not
Uh,
yet.
yeah,
And
yeah, no.
happy birthday to her as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah. She's I think she's 63 now. And you know what?
63.
It's time is flying, man. And she was always the youngest mom in the room. And now to just see that she's 63 it blows my mind. And now, I remember, well, now I have a daughter who's just turning 4, but it's funny, I'm through being a dad and seeing as my daughter grows, I relive some moments myself where like, oh, I remember seeing those things for the first time, being in her shoes. And where I'm getting at is I had a thought of, oh, she's only basically 10 years, a decade away from driving, and I still live right down the street from the high school that I went to. So it's just very, I get a lot of those friendly reminders
Yeah.
of living a good life, and life is good. But anyways, back to the
That's a,
conversation.
that's a blessing though. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
throughout all of this crypto stuff, I mean, that's the most impactful part is one, being able to enjoy your family, spend that time with your family, especially from what you were previously doing to now. Entrepreneurship is, we know it can be exhausting, it can be daunting, it's extremely time consuming, it takes up a lot of your energy, and it's beautiful to be able to kind of see you never ever divert. And I've watched this as a fly on the wall. It's a beautiful thing to see. Like, I'm really connected with my family and I love to spend time with them, but I know when you're building, you can definitely be pulled away. But to always see you interacting with family, posting family, at the beach with your daughter, still getting those interviews done, still building, the site looks incredible. And we definitely need to work on it because somebody's logo needs to be on that partnership panel.
Oh, there we
Um,
go.
So we go talk offline about that one. But yeah, nah,
Uh,
it
I
looks
appreciate
amazing. And
that.
we'll definitely get into that. But thank you. I actually thank you for sharing that, because I think the main part that people always need to know is there's a human aspect to this. Like, we talk about crypto, we talk about the tech, we talk about all things, right? And as the world and the financial systems are they're in a transitory phase as we speak.
Mm.
We as people, as humans who are bringing this information to the people, we also are in transitory phases in our lives. So it's a nice synergy to be able to kind of hear you highlight that. So definitely kudos to
Oh,
you and kudos to mom.
oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, because it's a hard balancing act. If any, it's some say that the work-life balance is doesn't exist, and some say it does. I'm just trying to exist amongst it all. Holy,
Absolutely.
yeah, but you think the crypto world moves fast, and then you add kids to it and try starting a company in the space and other things. And coming from Link to was just as demanding. So it's not like the entrepreneurial journey started uh, coming after Link to. It was well before and during. And so it's just been quite the journey, blessing, educational experience, D for all the above, a colorful timeline. So, but anyways, thank you again. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. Uh, but Champ, back to the conversation in regards to the White House Crypto Summit. I think that I mean, all this is underscoring where we're going. I think we all get it. I mean, for those that are on the call here, for the fact that someone like my mom, a 63-year-old housewife, is a big believer and subscriber to the future of alternative investments and digital assets, is pretty a pretty a significant signal on just at least where the overall market is trending towards. I'm not saying it's like the end all be all signal, but I mean, it is a tale of where we're headed. At least that's where I think. Today there was an event at Stanford. It was an Ethereum, like ETH Denver. There was an ETH Stanford event
Yeah.
today. Unfortunately, I got my ticket was I was granted access today. I mean, it started at 10. The ticket was granted access at 10. I'm like, how am I going to get up to Stanford? I mean, that's it's an hour flight, but it's the logistics we're gonna pan out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
but we'll talk about the what else is under, what I'm working towards, at least for the conferences. But where I'm getting at is there's stuff going on all the time right now. I mean, it's almost as if like the whole industry itself is on its own IPO roadshow. The industry, the sector, there's just conferences going on for all chains,
Back to
Ethereum,
back.
Avalanche, XRP, Ripple,
Yep.
Bitcoin. So the where I'm getting why I'm just rambling on about this is because it's all relative towards the signals that are being provided to us by the top, the White House. I mean, the most powerful, uh, uh, I would say, entity in the world. So not only do they bring the most powerful people into the world, into the room, but I thought it was significant to have the Department of Treasury, the Department of Commerce in the room as well. They spoke about the regulatory outlook. The administration expressed support for legislation efforts to provide regulatory certainty for dollar-backed stablecoins and the broader digital assets market. Uh, I wanted to double click on stablecoins because is the pending bills related to the stablecoin regulations that are in the House right now. I mean, I think they're ready to be issued at any moment, but what is the delay? I think it's just the incumbents are. I mean, like Donald Trump mentioned, is that they are ending choke point 2.0, which was confirmed in the crypto White House summit. So, but I think maybe that's what he's mentioning is just things are in motion to where they're going to start. I mean, providing more liquidity to the market, maybe being more favorable to an IPO window, which would then I would believe would have an impact on this sector itself as well, and its market participants. Why I say that is because, for instance, Coinbase is a market participant of the digital asset community. Of course, that's where people get. It's an on and off ramp into this ecosystem, uh,
Yeah.
and they are a public company, and so if Coinbase IPO'd in 2021 in the midst of one of the biggest, of the time, the biggest Bitcoin run, where it reached its all-time high. I think it went from around like $30,000 all the way up to like 90, or at least maybe 70 grand.
70, about 74 grand. Yep.
Okay. Excuse me. And but regardless, it was significant. And in the midst of that, we saw Coinbase IPO. Why this means a lot to me is because Coinbase was available on Link2, my former employer's platform, which some of the accredited investors were able to deploy capital into that private company, and really, I would say, um, benefit from the liquidity event of the Coinbase IPO, or was it an IPO or DPO, direct public offering? I think it was a DPO,
Yeah.
which I think we're probably going to see many of these entities do similar pathways to the public markets through DPO, because these are highly profitable, highly liquid companies, and they don't need. I mean, I think for transparency purposes, this is why they're going public, because ultimately, Ripple's already a multi-billion-dollar company, and they're taking up market share like no tomorrow, and same with Circle. So but for transparency purposes, they need to be public, and,
Yeah.
and so
For sure.
that's the real kicker here.
Yeah.
Uh, but other than that, the stablecoin regulations are coming into the fold. Gold-backed, asset-backed currencies are significant. I've been fortunate to support some, I would say, leaders of this movement that I would call, for those on the call here, check out GlintPay. That's GLINTPAY.com, GlintPay.
Yeah.
They are a go-to platform for uh, buying transactional gold and silver. And what I mean by that, and why the air quotes, is you can buy real gold that is stored at a Swiss vault that is insured by Lloyd's of London. And excuse me, with your account, you get this really neat Glint MasterCard. I don't know if I have it here.
Yeah, I don't have my card either, but everybody who is a member of Skyton Academy, they're definitely on that. We've got a course available for you guys that's inside professional development. We've got all
Oh,
that
okay.
good stuff for you.
Okay, cool, 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 cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm waiting for, yeah, here we go. Even if, I mean, I have the card, but you wouldn't even know because the Glint logo has been, it's
Used up, rubbed up.
shaved off because I've been buying and selling too much transactional gold. No, I'm kidding. But I've been using it for making content and things of that nature, and so it just gets getting worn out. But anyways, I think that it's great because ultimately we're talking about fractionalized investment vehicles or opportunities, and to transactional gold, where Glint is buying this big tranche of gold and silver bullion that's stored at these vaults and then allows its members, its users of its application to then buy fractional amounts and then also spend those fractional amounts at anywhere a MasterCard is accepted, which is 55,000 plus locations across the US. I mean, I'm sure that's even growing now with
Yeah.
applications like Square and other things. And so where I'm getting at is there's just, and that's just one. This is fintech only. We're talking about. There's so much going on that's being underpinned by technology across multiple verticals, and so for those that might be interested in seeing who some of those players are, I'm not here to shill my former employer, but it's just a lot very aligned with my key interests, and it's innovation and forward thinking companies. And if you checked out link to my former employer's website, linqto.com, you'd see some really cool, innovative, forward-thinking, disruptive companies like Ripple Labs, the shepherd of the XRP ledger, where the CTO of Ripple Labs, David Schwartz, the creator of the XRP ledger, is
Hello.
employed. Yeah. And you can invest in those companies, or at least learn about them if you wanted to. You don't have to deploy any capital. You can just create an account and see recent funding rounds, who's the leadership teams, really dive deep, or at least as deep as you can, with most public information that's already public of the fundamentals around these companies to help you make a decision or at least learn more about them, if that's your just hobby or interest. So, uh, but in a nutshell, that's what's going on with the to circle back to our conversation. If you want to learn more about Glint, the tokenized gold platform, they're on Link2's platform. You can go check them out there as well. And then the end of Choke Point 2.0, which I'll end here about the White House Crypto Summit, because really it was an impactful production, but really for me it was subpar, champ. I mean, and why I say that, I'd say, hey, the president of the United States is talking about crypto. How more bullish can you get on that? I mean, I'm stoked. That's there.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But I think we've all been waiting for mass adoption for quite some time, and seeing significant the flip of the switch moment, or at least that's what a lot of the narrative, or what many of us have come to believe. I've told others for quite some time, if the banks are broke, then this is going to take a lot of the liquidity from the retail community or the private sector, and it's going to be an organic move. And
Yeah.
so that's why for me, I wanted to not only invest into this sector, but get in the trenches and fight right alongside my dollars, and really see what's going on. And that's really all I've done, or which has separated me from me and my peers, was I just got a little bit more engaged in the community and provided as much um, resources as I was able to provide. And now I've been in this ecosystem for way longer than I anticipated. But it's all
What's
good.
what's the timeline looking like on your end? Are you here for the super long haul? Is
Oh,
it there's a
oh, well,
beyond 2040, 2050? You looking at
oh,
out?
I mean, these systems are being paved for my daughter's generation, man, or and those that are to come. So it's not like they're this is we're things are going to fade away in a couple years. I think we're just going to see more innovation, more of these things get adopted in video games or things that are just more become more liquid where you can run out of one platform, or what I mean is slide your investments into one platform and from one platform into the next and do whatever you want with your capital, do things
Yeah.
that I probably don't even know what are capable of yet because that's just innovation for you. So that I mean to be determined. And so I think it's, and that's why I go to these events or these conferences, is to learn as much as I can to see who's really in the mix and learn and to enjoy it's been a really a fun and eventful journey and experience. And so um, I'm looking forward to on the shortcomings for me. I'll be helping. Do you know who Jake Claver is?
Jay Claver, yes. I follow him on X.
Yeah. He's a buddy of mine. He's Beyond Broke,
Yeah.
and or that's I believe his handle on X, or Beyond underscore Broke or something like that. But regardless, Jay Claver is a really good man. He is a Texas boy, and so he's hosting a conference called the Digital Fusion Summit. That's going to be April. When is it going to be? April 24th. And
Okay.
this is going to cater towards high net worth investors, your institutional investors, I would say a really neat community. I'm thankful that I'm not only gonna attend, but I'll be moderating. I'll be emceeing the event. Well, there'll probably be around 200 people. It's unfortunate. Well, it's an invite only now event. Last year's it was open to the public, but I mean based upon the results from last year, they no longer need to open it up to the public because they had like BNY Mellon there, they had JP Morgan, they had uh, uh, some really powerful financial institutions that are, I mean, they're the largest. BNY Mellon is the largest custodian in the world that where I mean, and that's why it always who was I talking about this? I think it was today or yesterday where people say, oh, the banks are here, or it's not, excuse me, they're still coming, or they're still slow to adopt. And I'm like, you got BNY Mellon in the game. They're the largest bank in the world. I mean,
The biggest, yeah.
what more? I mean, what do you mean? They're already here. And so I think people are just missing the boat on that. But it is here nor there. But even before Jake's event in Dallas, I'll be attending Tokenize This. Tokenize This is a conference that's going to be focused or centered around real world asset tokenization. You're going to have the securitizers there. Ripple will be there as well, and some other really interesting fintechs that are focused on tokenizing real world assets from real estate, stocks, bonds, commodities, D for all the above.
Yeah.
And it's going to be at the Glass House in New York. The Glass House is significant to me because that's where Circle hosted their, what was it called? Their Circle. They had a conference. It was the same day as Ripple's proper party. For any of those who might be on the call that attended, it was about 2 years ago now because time flies. But
Mhm.
it was Ripple had their proper party to celebrate. I believe that was when XRP was designated on a security, and so it was a very. I mean, you had I remember John Deaton on one of the balconies, the attorney, the white knight of the XRP community that represented what 75,000 XRP.
75,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
XRP holders, and he's up on the balcony while Brad Garlinghouse is on stage with Lenny Kravitz right behind him, and he's like, "We got to thank John Deaton," and the lights pan over from Brad Garlinghouse over to John, and John's just fist pumping the crowd, and then I look over and you see like Mr. Cool Guy or BlackBerry XRP just hanging out, being cool, and DAI, Brad Kimes. I mean, everybody was there, and so those are just fun moments. But anyways, uh, I'm getting distracted.
Nah, you good. I mean, I'm glad that you kind of shared that part of the story, but you were talking about Tokenize and the event that's at Glass House and why
Oh
it.
yeah, the glass house. Yeah, because I just get distracted on the party of the same day of Circles event. But regardless, the Circles event being the fact that it's at the glass house is for me going to be one a great venue. And then I believe that it's going to be a 3 day event. So for those for those that are on the call, if you like, I'm happy to put the hyperlink into the chat if you like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be or actually, it looks like a 4 day event. It's going to be talking about all things related to digital assets, TokenizeThis. Carlos Dominguez, the CEO of Securitize, will be there. Who else? I mentioned Ripple will be there, and it is going to be specific. Yeah, James Wallace. He's the
James
vice
Watt.
president. Yeah, James is the vice president of global financial institutions. So again, just like how Circle's event was at the same location. I believe Circle is also catering towards a more institutional crowd as well, and
Mhm.
so that it's going to have that same type of feels, the same type of vibes, catering to the same type of customer, and so or like-minded investor is where I'm getting at, and so it's going to be a really, I would say, jam-packed, impactful, uh, really great conference. Fortunately, I'm attending this conference with a media pass, and then also I'll be bunking up with the XRPL developer Boone Bergsma, who helped me code my website. And so,
Website, yeah.
yeah, so he's a great guy, and I'll be actually traveling with him to the XRPL Apex conference in Singapore.
Ooh,
That's gonna be I think 2 weeks or a week and a half following the XRP Las Vegas conference, which is May 31st.
yeah.
So yeah, so I'll be doing a little bit of traveling. It'll be New York in April, then Dallas for the Digital Fusion Summit, Bitcoin conference in Vegas the week of the XRP Las Vegas conference. Then
Is it
I'm
before?
Yeah, it's so the Bitcoin conference is on the 27th of May through the 29th. And
And
then
then XRP is the 30th through the 31st.
yeah, that's correct. And then
Got
I'll
it.
be
Okay.
excuse me, and then I'll be supporting I don't know if you know Crypto James or 6'8" James.
6A James, yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to be hosting an event on May 31st, the evening after the XRPL Las Vegas conference concludes, where it's going to be like all of the main or the influencers. You're going to have Linda P. Jones, Zach Rector, James, and Jake, Mickle, and I think a few others. And so it'll be great to kind of like I think unwind because for me this is work, champ. I'm not going out there to party. I'm
Right.
fortunate. I'm actually really excited. Uh, I'm working on with the Las Vegas conference with Brad Kimes, the founder of this conference. I'm a sponsor of the event and by doing so, I'm providing them with these exclusive interviews where I interview these fintech executives and attendees and create this engaging content. And then I'll also be creating content on behalf of another client of mine, which is Merlin. They're an easy to use application for tracking your crypto.
So
And
yeah.
yeah, I've used them to basically map or track multiple of my wallets on one easy to use platform, and then set limits or basically price targets, reminders for me of when to enter or exit the market. So I get little updates, text messages, alerts, basically a little reminder of when to enter and exit the market. They've got a really interesting to use application, and so I'm thankful that I'll be making content on behalf of them, and they're sponsoring a really nice suite for me at the MGM that has a little kitchenette. So since I'm going to be out there all week, a week in Vegas is like way too long. But regardless, I'm going to do my best to cook my own meals and try and eat clean and do all that fun stuff because yeah, I'm not. I don't really do. I don't. I personally, Vegas is not my favorite. It's great for conferences. I'm stoked, but I see the Red Rock Mountains from some of the hotels, and that's what really gets me. Is I in my past life, champ, I did a lot of outdoor rock climbing where I used
Nice.
to rock climb those very specific mountains, and we would do some of these climbs. One of them was called epinephrine, and epinephrine was or is about 2,300 feet vertical. And so
Mm,
I remember I think it was about a 12 pitch climb, which means you climb up to the as high as your rope can, and then you gotta re situate your rope and go start all over and just basically bolt in and do it, keep just doing chains, daisy chains going all the way up the face of the rock wall. And the last time that I climbed, because I thought
wow.
this was the coolest moment ever, champ, was when we were rock climbing this 2,000-foot vertical wall. I look back and I just see an airplane come in because they we're only talking about being 45 minutes right outside of Las Vegas airport. But there was these little acrobatic airplanes where it was like a one-seater little mini airplanes would come into this canyon and just do vertical corkscrews over these cliffs. And I was just like, wow, we're just as high as planes. This is amazing. I'm done. And so
Man.
yeah, I'm not gonna fall off. I will quit while I'm ahead. But
You're a
yeah,
risk taker.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess that's part of the profile. And so, uh,
Absolutely.
if I was uh, if I was daring enough to do that, I guess I don't know. Do you know who the bearable bull is by chance?
Absolutely. That's my guy.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, he's a buddy of mine, or I mean, at least an ally, and so that he was the I would say probably because of him and a few others. That's kind of why I made the decision to go to work at Link 2 was I had a few conversations leading up to some of those decisions where I'm like, oh man, you know what's couldn't hurt, and so uh, me listening to a gosh, what is it called, a anonymous character is beats me, but you know what? It is what it is, and here I am and having a good time, and you know what? It's been a really wonderful, wonderful, rewarding, and but demanding and scary all at the same time. I mean, it's been all the feels. I'd be lying saying if it was easy, and
Yeah.
but it's been a very colorful ride. So, anyways, I'm looking forward to going to Singapore because this will be another moment to go international. Last time I went international was, or at least for work, was 2022, where I went out to Portugal and got to participate at a Link to Global Investor Conference where I got to see
Mm,
Greg Kidd, a
wow.
multi-billionaire, he's also one of the first earliest, I think he was the first investor in Twitter
Yep.
for, aside for Jack Dorsey and a few others, and first investor in Coinbase, in Link to my former employer, uh, early backer of Ripple, and he was the guy that took an option of XRP.
Hmm.
So uh, yeah, I think it would be great to go international again. I think where you're going to see like Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse a little bit more with his guard down because I think he's going to be present at XRP Las Vegas like he was
Hmm.
last year and the year before, but he's
Yeah.
always surrounded by his private security detail, and these guys are pissed off the whole time. You can just they're like chewing their bubble gum and they're flexing, they're like ready to go, and they're eyeballing and sizing everyone up, and I'm just like, holy shit, man, they're gonna headbutt me. I know it. And it's it's but ultimately I've been around these guys long enough now where I think they realize that I mean I couldn't I mean I they would just destroy me with the like the flick a flick of but
Were you able to get any interviews with Brad or any higher ups on the Ripple team at the previous Apex events?
uh the wow good question, or at least how about specifically the previous Apex I attended it as a link to employee. Okay, and why I'm saying that is because I got to go there with other link to employees, and these guys were some of the smartest people in the world, man.
Mhm.
And why I say that is because they're building some of the most cutting edge revolutionary technology, leveraging blockchain type solutions. Maybe they are, maybe they're not baked or have integrations onto the XRP ledger, but I saw some really interesting features that really um, made me believe that. And then plus, of course, Matt Rosenden, who's an ally and buddy of mine, is he was the creator of the Trust Wallet, or Trust Line Wallet,
That's
which
line. Yeah.
was acquired by Link2, and that was an XRPL-based wallet solution. When I did go to that global investor conference, I did attend that as an individual. However, I was so dedicated to to my craft, I was still working on my personal time as well, making content, like interviewing people there. Just I enjoy it, man. And
Yeah.
so, but why I'm saying that is because while on stage, the CEO, the former CEO of Link2, which is a platform for tokenizing private equity, or at least granting access to a class of investors, including myself, that have never had the real opportunity to invest in some of the revolutionary blockbuster companies before they go public. And so, private companies. And so, and why this is significant is because if you can tokenize these assets and make them liquid, or more liquid than what they are, there's some really interesting things that we can do with those assets that I mean that I wouldn't even be able to describe in great detail. It's just because you can probably borrow against the assets and do things that we you can't do today in the traditional financial structure. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of where I'm trying to lean towards. There's just innovation that doesn't exist in the capital markets today that some of these fintech companies are creating. And so kudos to them. I can't wait to see where this market is in the next 5 years. I think it's going to be a much brighter future. We are, I believe, exploring a new floor for the market, or at least for the XRPL. Could it be $2? Man, that's awesome. I hope not, because I want to get more. But selfishly, but I think we're going to start seeing some things trend up into the right, and I think that we're going to see, once, if there is a more favorable regulations, if we do see a IPO window prevail, then it's going to be like Christmas in July, and it's not just going to be like a Ripple IPO. I think we're going to see like a Ripple, Circle, Consensus. It's going to
Mhm.
be a trifecta event, and then that's going to be great for somebody like Link2, because and their investor community, because they have a little bit in all the companies, and so on their balance sheet. So that's just going to be
Yep.
a rising tide on raising all ships on their platform. So kudos to them and their shareholders. I'm proud to be one, and it's going to be a bright future. But it's not an overnight process. I'm not here to paint that type of picture for anybody on the call. It's still a long term game, but I do believe that we're closer than we were 5 years ago, thankfully.
Oh, for sure.
Thankfully,
Absolutely.
for those who may be newer to the space, or at least newer to the Skyton University community, new to the crypto community, kudos to you for getting into in a somewhat bearish market, but at the same time, things are from a regulatory standpoint heating up, and that's really neat. So I'm excited. Yes, excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Just,
Listen,
just
before I
before you
know
guys
you're I know you're hard pressed, but I want to ask you one question. If there is one thing, and this could be speculative, right? If there's one thing that you can foresee happening or materializing that could be potentially announced at Apex, which is in April
Hmm.
for Ripple, what do you think it would be?
Well, I mean, I believe there are entities where you're able to borrow against. I mean, leveraging solutions through Anchorage Digital, you can borrow against your assets, lending, things of that nature. I would like to see more about like commercialized grid trading bots or bots for the retail investor community to automate some things. I actually whip some up today using some really interesting solutions referred to me from a friend of mine from the Google community. So I think we're getting closer than a lot of people really think we are to automating our investment resources and just kind of doing some type of set it and forget it, allowing us to um, rethink how we can spend our time and resources. So, but it's again, we're still in our early innings. Builders are still building, refining some of these tools. Regulations are still coming into the fold. So I think we're um, I'm more interested to see if something significant to me would be capital gains. Like, are we going to see those removed? I mean, that's for me is I would love to be able to retain my wealth through significant changes in legislation on from that type of through that lens of productivity and progress. And so, but that's where my mind's at.
Mhm.
I again, I'm in the realm now where I want to see some things be able to we can automate some things using bots. Again, those resources are now available to us. I'm not here to. Again, I just started using. I do have a hard stop right now in about 2 minutes. But
Mhm.
full transparency, I did check out this resource champ when you can. It's called cryptohero.ai. Now, I used it I to link up using API keys to a Coinbase wallet to then purchased, you can call it an NFT or a subscription to a bot. This bot allowed me to create multiple bots, two at max. I noticed that. So it's cool that you can actually automate two bots that are high performing to either do a mark to execute market orders or limit orders, and
Wow.
so I'm doing some experimenting with some new developments, and so this is just um, one of the many things that are just going on in this ecosystem. So again, that was cryptohero.ai. I have no affiliation to them. I'm just trying them out myself, and that's all I'm talking about. And so I don't know if they're profitable. But I like it reminds me of like a Coinbase setup or TurboTax type of branding. Things just seem more trustworthy than leveraging a resource out of Germany or something. Just I don't know. So, but again, even Crypto Hero is out of Singapore. So again, you gotta do your research and hey, if I'm willing to scale a 2,000-foot vertical wall, and then maybe I might be willing to deploy a few hundred bones and see what happens. So
What
don't
happens? Yeah.
don't follow me if
So,
I'm yeah
so it's safe to input the disclaimer. How
yeah
like
my
this
appetite.
is not financial advice.
I am not a financial advisor. My appetite for risk is unlike anyone else's. So please do your own research and But be patient. This is a long-term game. Nothing is a for sure win. I mean, at the end of the day, we're here talking about investing with capital that we're willing and able to lose. Here I say that, but that's why I'm in the mix trying to fight for all these dollars. Since I have no time for my dollars to lose. It's or no time to lose these dollars. And so, uh,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, but anyways, hey, Champ, I hear my wife and my daughter just got home right now. I got to jump, and
Mhm.
I appreciate you having me on. Hopefully, I can come back sooner than later. It's always a
Absolutely.
pleasure. Yeah, I feel like
Absolutely.
there's always so much more to talk about.
Later this week, when you got time, you and I just jump on the line. We got a couple things I want to discuss.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe there's ways that we can do some collaborations. Where I don't know if you're going to be out at XRP Las Vegas, but maybe there's ways to do some shout outs for your community and things of that nature to help drive more awareness, drive more engagement. Uh, uh, just food for thought. But
Yeah,
ultimately, I'll be
let's do it.
there, and it would be great to grab a beer with you.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Listen, go enjoy the family. I know you guys got to go, but guys, everybody, give your love, support to Ray. Ray, definitely, we greatly appreciate you for all the gems. Thank you so
Hey,
much for your presence, and we'll
oh,
definitely do this soon.
I'm more appreciative than to be here, and thank you guys for allowing me to be here. Love you mucho, and I'm trying to do things two things at once. I'm putting in the chat. Love you mucho, you guys. Hey, Champ, you have a great Wednesday and an even better weekend. Talk to you soon. Alrighty.
Yes, sir.
All
Greatly
right.
appreciate you, Ray.
All right. Bye bye. See you.
Peace. All right, guys. So listen, Ray is, for those of you who do not know, so I know Ray, it might have been, he's wild, right? He has a mind that is like out of this world. So Ray is the former community director for Link2, right? Ray has been poised for growth and adoption in the crypto space, right? That was his former employer. So throughout the talk, as he referenced, he was talking about Link2. Inside of Skyton Academy, we already gave you guys the insight for Link2. It is basically is a platform where you can find gems and unicorns before they go public, right? Before they IPO and actually go public and they're found on the stock exchange. So basically we have that for you. For everybody who's watching this out there in YouTube land or wherever you see this at. The information I'll include it down in this description below, so you guys will have that as well, and you can partake. Now, Link2 is now for accredited investors only. So you do have to be accredited to partake. But if you're a Skyton Academy member, we may have a method for you guys. But greatly appreciate Ray for coming on and sharing his insights and his gems. So, a couple of the events that he talked about that are coming up, one that is really important, I think, for the industry as a whole, and it's probably going to be really insightful, is going to be the XRP Las Vegas. I've never attended the Bitcoin conferences that they have, but I know the XRP Las Vegas one is May 30th through the 31st. Is going to be at the MGM Grand. So I dropped it inside the chat for anybody interested with the link available. And I'll also do that in the description below under the video, just in case anybody's interested in going and actually going to the event and attending live. Now, the reason I think that this is going to be an impactful event is because there's one significant event that kind of compiles on top of another event that just took place in crypto. First things first was last week on .Connect 83, we covered the stockpile, right? And in the stockpile under the White House, there was three assets that were mentioned outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that was Solana and XRP and XRP. At XRP. All right, so no, I'm not. This is not an endorsement of XRP, but I just wanted to highlight that. So XRP definitely was one of the assets that were going to be added to the national stockpile. So this crypto reserve is no longer just a Bitcoin reserve; it's a crypto reserve. So it's American-made cryptocurrencies. XRP falls under that category. So one, that gave XRP a ton of spotlight, right? So for institutional investors and retail investors, now you kind of know that United States coins are where you should kind of look and at least research. Not financial advice. I'm just telling you This is good. This is just good gems for you. Now, the second part to that is I just actually tweeted about this. So there was not just one player that's super major in the game that just launched their S1 for an XRP ETF. That was Franklin Templeton. They have $1.4 trillion in assets under management. So they filed for their S1, and this was on the 11th. This was yesterday. So this news came out. Now, here's the other thing. There's 16 other companies right now who filed for the XRP ETF right now. So I'll run down the list just real quick, but you've got Bitwise, Grayscale, you've got 21 Shares, Canary Capital, Wisdom Tree, CoinShares, Investco, VanEck, you've got Fidelity, ARK Invest, Galaxy Digital, you've got ProShares, Hashdex, you've got Volatility Shares, Volatility Shares 2X, and then Volatility Shares uh, 1X. So there's 16 other players plus Franklin Templeton. Now, the reason I'm highlighting this for it to have 17 XRP ETFs right now, companies that are ready to go and they're filing for their S1s right now. The only thing we're waiting for is regulatory approval. Now, the Sunshine Act goes live, I believe it's tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, on the 13th. So with the Sunshine Act, I want you guys to look this up. That'll be your homework for tonight. If you are not familiar with it, just look it up, just so you can familiarize yourself with it. We'll drop some content on it just to kind of break it down in layman's terms. But essentially, what this can possibly lead to, and there's a lot of chatter about this in the industry right now, that the XRP SEC lawsuit is going to potentially be ended, and this could be the catalyst for it. So the reason I'm leading all of this information is leading to the next event. That very next event is going to be Apex. So for anybody who's interested and you want to be in the building, or you just kind of want to have your pulse on what's actually happening in the industry, and you want to be around other participants, other investors, developers, big high level CEOs and C-suite guys, this is the type of events that you want to kind of be a part of and actually attend. So you got the Apex event, but there's going to be others. He mentioned the TokenizeThis. That is also another big event, and that's got some big players in it. So we drop links for both of those inside the chat, and I'll make sure that those are included in the description under this video when we have the replay. So my biggest thing was I wanted to ask Ray. I know there's certain things that he can and can't discuss because Ray is really close to a lot of big guys in the industry, right? And they run different verticals, they have different businesses, but I'm talking about these guys are heavily connected and they make a lot of things happen in the industry. So I was trying to pull certain insights from Ray. Um, I will try to pull more and just see what he can share. But right now, we're in the expansion phase. So at Skyton Academy, we're rubbing shoulders with everybody that we possibly can who is viable, who's got motion, who can actually give you guys some extra added gems. And this just is what we need. Ray is just one of those people. Ray is pure-hearted. He genuinely means well. He has always got his posts on crypto, what's happening, what's going on. And like I said, his relationships and his connection points allow him to wiggle and be in certain rooms because his past experience and just who he is, his character, his demeanor, he's just a great person. So they accept him widely and they embrace him in the industry. So it's not just solely about Link2, but it's about Ray being on display and him being able to bring back certain gems for us. So greatly appreciate having him with us here today. And we'll definitely get into the White House Crypto Summit, right? Because I want to break down a couple things for you guys. So I'm gonna give you my take, certain things that occurred, and I don't want to make this too much longer because it's already over an hour. We want to keep these playbacks kind of short and clean. But overall, the White House Crypto Summit that was held on March 7th, it was basically a pivotal moment for the US, right? This was their approach to digital assets. Now, what I want you guys to keep in mind was what we saw was only about 30 minutes. It was a 30-minute meeting, right? But then that was just what the media was allowed to view. There was more things that occurred, but I believe that happened once the cameras were actually cut off. So relevant executive orders, insights to potential impacts on the crypto industry, focusing on Bitcoin, Solana, XRP, and maybe Ethereum. But one of the things that I felt was out of place was the hosting of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So they announced that, right? It commenced with brief remarks about the US preparing to host the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Now, the event is anticipated to boost a lot of innovations in tech, including blockchain applications to enhance event management and security. So that was pretty cool. And then they displayed the trophy and all things, right? He hinted at a gold key. There's a gold key that was symbolic. And if you guys actually watch it, and it's available all over the place, all over X, Google, Instagram, crypto, Twitter, whatever. But there's a big gold trophy. And in the gold trophy, there was a key that was announced, and it's all gold, right? So for it to be on display, I felt like that was coded messaging, basically telling everybody, like, hey, this is deeper than just a trophy here. This is here because we're going into the next phase of future of finance, which is going to be cryptocurrency, blockchain, artificial intelligence, but you still are going to have your usual suspects, which are commodities, quote unquote gold. All right. So that's just a connection point that I identified as soon as I seen it. Other than that, there was no huge significance to the FIFA World Cup announcement. But then Trump gave his talk on the strategic Bitcoin reserve and crypto leadership, and he touched on a couple points. A legislative push for stablecoin regulation, where he urged Congress to expedite the stablecoin bill, aiming for it to be on his desk before the August recess. And he wants to provide clear regulatory clarity for digital assets. So that's super important. Then he also mentioned, well, the administration mentioned leveraging stablecoins to enhance the US dollar. So they plan on using stablecoins to maintain and expand the dominance of the US dollar in global markets. So this was brought on by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, if I'm saying his last name right, but he highlighted that stablecoins' role in preserving dollar supremacy was vital. So everybody is talking about bricks, and I know we've mentioned it multiple times. What they're saying is now they're creating new pathways to be able to leverage these new technologies, these new digital assets or stable coins to be able to empower and strengthen the United States dollar across the world, right? So what they do not want to do is become second fiddle when the US dollar has been the global reserve currency damn near forever, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to leverage these digital assets and this new technology to be able to sustain, grow, and maintain dominance. All right. Then he talked about, of course, the inclusion of other digital assets, which was XRP, Solana, and he didn't leave it solely at Bitcoin, right? And of course, this pissed off Michael Saylor, who is a huge Bitcoin buff. And he was going through an emotional roller coaster while he's sitting at the table with the administration and the president and other heads that were bigwigs in the crypto space. Um, he basically just is displaying that he wants the world to continue to buy Bitcoin because it fits his narrative. His narrative is he believes that Bitcoin is just going to continue to soar. And what is going to be the catalyst to do it is the government spending, uh, I think, 20% or 30% of revenue into these digital assets, and that he's speculating Bitcoin is just going to continue to rise. So if they continue to buy at these prices right now, as Bitcoin grows over time, that will strengthen the reserve of the United States to grow it to, I believe he speculated like $80 trillion or something of the sorts. It was wild, but he was so distressed when they announced that they were going to acquire additional Bitcoin, but it was going to be without taxpayer cost. So basically, there was an executive order that was authorized that the Treasury and the Commerce secretaries we're going to develop budget neutral strategies to acquire more Bitcoin, but without leaning on us, the retail, the taxpayers, right? So that was awesome. And that I wholeheartedly agree with. He also established the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, where he announced the executive order to create a Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. And it would be funded using approximately 200,000 Bitcoin that was seized from civil asset forfeitures or criminal asset forfeitures that was valued at about $17.5 billion. Now, they emphasized that they had these holdings and they will not sell them, but they weren't going to acquire more, again, using taxpayers' funds. So this was the part where if you watched anything or if you've seen any clips, Michael Saylor, he actually flipped off Tyler Winklevoss. They're one of the twins and they're two big Bitcoin buffs. Now, they had remarks because there was prominent figures that were all speaking, but just during Tyler Winklevoss's speech, he basically said something that, didn't agree with what Michael Saylor was portraying to the, administration that was sitting all at the table. And Brad Garlinghouse, he didn't speak at all, right? Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, he's there. He's sitting in basically at the V of the table, right, where both of the tables merge. And he's sitting there. He's just, hands folded. He's locked in. He's dialed in, and he's happy. Everybody else in the room, like we had David Sachs, that's the crypto czar. You had Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick. You had Tom Emmer, the Winklevoss twins, Cameron and Tyler. They all got to speak, and they were basically sharing how enthused they are about the evolving crypto landscape. And they just expressed their support for this administration because the previous one waged war on us. So as this was going on, Michael Saylor, he's fidgeting in his chair and his head's down and he's stressed out, and you could just visibly see he's going through an emotional roller coaster. And I think that was one of those moments for him. So he's going to do what he needs to do to try to keep pushing this narrative of Bitcoin. But we've told you guys a multitude of times, yes, we are all thankful for Bitcoin, but Bitcoin just isn't the one, right? It's not meant to be the it coin, right? It only has lasting power for right now because it was the first in, but it's still slow, still antiquated, and there's other projects that have emerged that are essentially Bitcoin 2.0s, but they do way more than what Bitcoin set out to do, right? And everybody that's in the 1%, you guys know how we feel. Hell, if you're in the academy or you even watched other dot connects, we always call Bitcoin the beta test coin, right? It just doesn't do anything. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but that's visibly why Michael Saylor was kind of going through it. So if you ever got to watch those clips, it is entertaining at the end of the day. But I mean, I just feel like a person in his position, he definitely shouldn't be behaving like such, especially at such a pivotal event for crypto, because this put a lot of eyes on crypto in the space, right? And that just doesn't sit well with other people viewing from the outside, looking and seeing how he's behaving. Um, I think there's more to it, but we'll save it for another dot connect. Now, there are future US plans for Bitcoin purchases, and we'll see how this goes. I don't know what creative ways or methods that they're going to come up with accumulating more Bitcoin by not using taxpayer dollars. So we shall see how that unfolds. So that is one of the key questions that I did have based on available information. Now, in summary, and we'll wrap this up, the White House Crypto Summit highlighted the US government's evolving stance on digital assets while significant implications for the crypto industry were all still emerging, right? The establishment of the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve and digital asset stockpile marks a big progressive step. And I'm looking at long-term impact on XRP, Solana, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency as a whole. The industry got a well-needed spotlight that I felt like was definitely deserved, especially after the war that the last administration waged. Choke Point 2.0 is officially over and ending, that war is done with. Everybody is on board. The SEC has dropped almost all of its cases. There's one that remains, and that is against Ripple Labs. And I think with the Sunshine Act, that's kind of we're on the edge of right now. I think that's going to be the end of that lawsuit. But truth be told, Ripple already got what they needed. XRP is already being deemed not a security. It's the only crypto with regulatory clarity. So they're pretty much good to go. And 80% of their customer base is outside of the United States. So I feel like now with Trump announcing this and adding XRP to the list, I feel like the SEC is going to drop this case, final and formal. I did hear chatter that they may still get hit with a fine, and that it's easy. Ripple has over $1 billion on their balance sheet in cash. They definitely can sustain, not a problem. They're not dumping on us. And I'm hearing that the SEC may actually accept their fine in XRP. So if they do, let's say they have to pay 125 million, slap on the wrist, they send the XRP, and that could potentially it's going to a quote unquote governmental agency. Maybe they take that, right, and they use that as part of the stockpile. So I'm speculating. I don't know, but that's just how my mind is operating. But all in all, there's more information that's going to come out about this meeting. This was the first of many. I am hopeful and I am still strategic all at the same time. I do know that this is the first time we've ever had a true pro crypto president, pro crypto administration, and everybody that is already invested in crypto. I know you guys are seeing the market down, you're seeing it retracing, but this just makes for better entries. So if you are a person who moves in good strategy and you have good practice, especially if you are a student of Skyton Academy, you know that you are supposed to be buying the dips, right? Getting better entries, plussing up your bags if you believe in these projects. So this is not financial advice, just telling you guys that's a little nugget, that's a little gem, and that's something that I personally do, right? So when I find my nuggets and I see that the market is retracing like this is a buying opportunity that we may never get again in this magnitude. We may not, right? I don't want to speculate, but I'm just telling you guys when the markets go red, a wise man, his name is Warren Buffett. He said, when there's blood in the streets, you buy it, even if it's your own. All right. So I'll leave it at that. Guys, greatly appreciate it. This has been Connect Wednesdays, episode 84, where we went over the White House Crypto Summit and we were joined by Mr. Ray Fuentes. Greatly appreciate you guys. The replay will be available. And as always, we love you guys. We appreciate you being here. If you want to have a home in crypto, Skyton Academy is it. All right. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get it. Peace.